Brad, and we're going to do one more session with Lyme disease just to finish this topic off. This is some of the clinical realities of what goes on with Lyme disease. So we look at the whole overview and what clinicians are faced with. 40 to 70% or more of the studies that they're basing their care on are false. And 75% of the ones that are false are overt fraud. So clinicians, they're misinformed. We looked at the study from JAMA, says that they're unprepared. There's no healthcare school that teaches the reality of chronic illness. Just it's beyond the scope of learning. You got to get that education. Institutions, all the lab tests are inadequate. So the route that people are trying to verify what they have, they're inadequate, they're very expensive, and they're very frustrating because the results are all over the map. And that study of 517 labs taken with 3 blood draws from different people, no 2 results are the same, really lets you know how worthwhile it is to pursue that method of trying to find out what's going on. Treatments commonly can make you a whole bunch worse, whether they're natural treatments given the wrong things or given things that really don't work. That's one aspect. Poor quality supplements are huge. There's studies the New York Attorney General did. They went into Walgreens, Walmart, Target, and GNC, pulled off some of their herbal supplements, went to labs and tested them. 80% of what they pulled off the shelf didn't have anything in the bottle they claimed on the label. So quality has to do with everything, and you're not going to get that in a store. You're just not. Candida is a huge, huge, huge issue, along with other pathogens that can come along with routes of infection or as a result of treatment. That it's big. Leaky gut is huge. It's really huge. It has to be addressed in a functional way. Toxicity has to be addressed. And toxicity isn't something you can just do a fast for. It takes a ton of energy to detoxify. And each tissue can be different in detoxification. To properly detoxify, you have to first find the route of toxic input. Is it coming from inside, from outside? Where it is? What is it? Environment's huge, so there's a moldy environment. They're not going to heal. They just won't. You have to find out what the toxins are, the route of coming into the body, how they're being processed, where the breakdown of processing is, what tissues are they trying to excrete out, and what tissues they're depositing in, so that you can try and liberate those, and each place could mean something totally different. A brain detox is different than a liver detox, and the idea of doing lemon water doesn't work. There's not enough nutrients in there to nourish the liver enough to be able to process toxins. It's very energy dependent. Toxins that can overload the liver, create food intolerances, food allergies, they can create autoimmunity issues, a leaky brain. It just goes on in this great big huge snowball. These are the problems clinicians have to deal with. And the good ones do. It's really hard to find a good one. So when we start looking at diet, that's a really huge issue. Our typical American diet is hyperinflammatory, creates major leaky issues, and it destroys the gut flora. This is a study where they put people on a Western style diet, 71% increase in endotoxins. Basically, it made the gut toxic and started leaking in a very short period of time. Another study, I don't have it right here, but they took cows and they put them on a grain-fed diet. There's a 1,000-fold increase in pathogenic gut flora in like 7 to 10 days. And then they took grain-fed cows and they put them on a grass-fed diet. There's 1,000% die-off in a short period of time. What we eat really determines our health in a huge way, and that's something that really has to be addressed critically, very critically. We don't eat right, we're not going to heal. We start looking at some of the alternative ways of addressing these, and there's all kinds of different herbal concoctions that do some pretty amazing things. This concoction that supposedly decreases the Herps reaction inhibits the reproduction of biofilm. So this is one route. This is another one out of a research article that herbs such as thyme, oregano, barberry, wormwood, some other ones, not only do they help inhibit the growth of pathogenic organisms like bacteria, parasites, things like that, but they also benefit the organs at the same time. It's completely the opposite of pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals destroy organ systems, trying to address issues. Herbs do the opposite. They'll nurture them when you're given the right ones, in the right quantity, that are quality and not adulterated. A lot of herbs are adulterated. It's like olive oil. It's cut with all kinds of things because it's got a good market. Honey, they'll make toxic honey and ship it all over the world, goes to China, lasts, keeps getting cut with other things, and they finally ship it back here. Too toxic to sell here, but that's how they do things. Herbs are pretty much the same way. It has to be very good quality, reputable companies to get this stuff from. Here's another study where they took some of the worst pathogenic things known to man, and they subjected this to a concoction of herbs, and in very short order, total die-off, like 7 to 10 days, total die-off. And granted, this is a lab setting, that's not how it works inside, but we need to know that it does work. Gerald Mullins in Johns Hopkins University, along with Katie Madonna, I forgot what her name was, they did some studies with oregano and berberine, and is equal to one of the strongest broad-spectrum antibiotics, rifaximin, as far as dealing with pathogenic organisms inside of us. Another interesting study, autoimmune process that can be arrested by fixing the gut flora. And that's really, really huge. Has to be done. You can't do that with soil-based organisms. There are specific strains. They're all numbered that do something with the gut. If you're getting your flora anywhere other than refrigerated, it's junk. Most of the refrigerated flora is not good either. But if it's not refrigerated, it's got no value. That one you can bet on. When we started looking at different body shapes, let us know what the hormonal dysregulations are. Different hormones create different fat deposition patterns. Typically the thyroid will do lumpy, bumpy weight everywhere, make somebody look larger. Adrenal will make the face round. The thorax get wider and deeper. The abdomen gets big. It hangs over the waistline. It'll sag and jiggle quite a bit. If it's a liver, it's that typical beer belly shape, and that can be hard when you thump on it. Estrogen typically is the hips and the buttocks, whether that's male or female. Insulin is commonly where your love handles are. Testosterone typically will create the man boobs that people see quite a bit. Growth hormone is in your calves being enlarged. So knowing that, the guy that came up with this, Charles Poliquin, knowing that and testing things out, it really holds true. And you can just glance at people, tell what their hormonal dysfunctions are. Hormonal dysfunctions can really change the way you address a different person. It can be really huge. If you think about it, the thyroid's not working well and they don't have any energy, you got to do things to upregulate the mitochondria and get the energy to work so that anything's going to work at all. So we come back to Mark Twain's quote, It ain't what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. The reality of what this means is we're all hanging on to things that are keeping us from hell. There is access to healing from this. We have over 90% success rate of the worst cases you can have. People that can't walk, can't talk, can't think, can't work, can't get out of bed. We have over 90% of them return back to full health. It can be done. The reality is what beat up their health to allow the chronic illness, the Lyme disease, to take root is oftentimes a bigger problem. It takes longer to deal with that than it does to clear them and get people free of Lyme disease. So, typically, it leaves you with three choices. You can play the ostrich, ignore it, think it'll go away. It doesn't. Things don't get better, and every time, even if you get a little reprieve, every time you get stressed out, it hits you again. You can guess at things, which a lot of people do, and a lot of people try and do this on their own. It's too complicated for most docs to figure out, and you really can't do it on your own. Or you can work with somebody who really knows what they're doing. So, if you're interested in that, I invite you. So, if you're interested in working with somebody who knows what they're doing, we've got links on our website where you can get a hold of us. We do webinars where we have question and answer time and all that. And you sign up for one of those and we can go from there. So